Hi there, Kerrie Waring here, and welcome to Kerrie TV, your place for tools, tips and insights on how to live a life created with love, purpose and mediumship. In today's video, my loved one has passed away, are they okay, really is one of the most common questions that as a medium we receive from people that come to us for readings and want to hear from their loved ones in spirit. And this was prompted by a recent question on my blog from Cindy, who is concerned about her son and wanting to know whether he's okay or not. And firstly, my love and sympathies to everyone that's watching this video that has lost someone, whether now, in the past, especially now if you are challenged with grief. And because really there's nothing that we can say really that's going to make it any better. There's nothing that really that can be said that can truly alleviate and help you ascertain that your loved one is okay. But I'd really like to offer you some tips and some tools in how to go about finding that for yourself. Certainly, a mediumship reading is going to help validate that your loved one continues to exist, if that is your belief system. But firstly, our concern when we have lost someone, that they're okay, because we can't see them, we often can't feel them, we don't know, and especially if we've lost them through unexpected circumstances, then often the only way that we can do is to move towards finding a new way of being and a new way of what I like to call a new kind of normal. So I can share with you some tools and tips and this all comes from my own grief experience and having lost a brother who took his own life in 1995, and the journey that led me on, where I discovered my own mediumship. And since then, the years and years of working with others through mediumship with their grief and helping people to come to their own understanding of the afterlife. And because in answering that question, is my loved one okay, really what we really need to do is define our faith a little more and define what the afterlife might mean to you, which is what my journey led me to. It led me to discover my spirituality and hence my mediumship. And it really came from reading. It was the first thing, people suggesting to me a couple of books that would help within my grief at the time. So I guess that's my first tip. My first tip would be for you to explore some reading and some understanding. And I know a couple of books that would be helpful, and certainly one of them is actually really quite popular at the moment, The Afterlife of Billy Fingers by Annie Kagan. And the book is written from the perspective of her brother passed away, and it opened up a natural connection to him in the spirit world. And then between the two of them, he would give her information that she recorded about the spirit world. So that would be one way. And what you're doing is exploring your faith and exploring what this spirit world might mean to you, if that is part of your belief system. Another good book, and this one is actually written by a friend of mine, Scott Podmore. It's called Conversations with Mediums. And in this book, Scott interviews 12 of 12 of the most well-known mediums in the world, and there's a whole cross-section of mediums that all work differently. And yes, there's an interview with John Edward, Lisa Williams, one of my favourites, Tony Stockwell. But I really, being passionate about mediumship, I certainly really enjoyed the book, but I also, what I took from it was what a great resource it would be for people that are new in their grief and really exploring what the spirit world looks like and what it means. And because remember, I'm sharing this with you in the hope that, knowing from my own personal experience, that it was in exploring my faith and my spirituality, my newfound spirituality, and therefore going on to define what the spirit world meant to me, that brought me greater peace. You know, so that would be the first thing that I would do, is that I would really suggest doing more of that. And that certainly starts with reading. You know, it's, as I said, it's what it did for me, and it did lead me to my mediumship and opening up that ability to communicate with the spirit world and explore it, and whether that's going to be part of your belief system or not. You know, whatever you find is going to be right for you, but I would suggest that. And then you know, it might mean, you know, spending some time at your local church. I know for me, I in time found the Spiritualist church, my local one, for me to begin going to, and then that led to sitting in mediumship development circles and so forth. So it just started a whole journey for me. You know, sharing your thoughts and your beliefs with others. And I guess the book that changed it all for me was a book called The Celestine Prophecy, written by James Redfield. So that would be another book. It certainly gave meaning, a purpose and meaning to my life, because I found in my grief experience that what I needed was, one, to find more meaning in life. It wasn't enough to you know, be just going to work, coming home, looking after a new baby. I needed meaning and purpose after my brother passed away, and I needed life to have I needed a greater purpose for still being here, you know, and that's what led to my mediumship. And so that would be the first tip that I have for you, is to begin exploring that. And once you define that, once you define what your spirit world looks like, if it exists for you, you know, like, because it's all a belief system. And I say if it exists for you because there are certain belief systems, such as that don't believe in the afterlife as what mediums do, or as what I would. For example, you know, the Brahma Kumaris actually believe that the moment that you pass away is the moment that you are conceived in a new incarnation. You know, so very different belief systems exist for different faiths, and none of them are right or wrong. They all just serve different needs and purposes in the individual's life, you know. And I know for me that I needed to define what my afterlife looked like to help with my grief. And yes, it did involve mediumship and the fact that you could communicate with your loved one and that the soul continued to exist. And I guess that's what I really got out of it, is that I really believed and took away from it all, and still to this day believe that the soul continues, that the soul has always been. And when you're exploring that journey for you, that's where the peace for your grief comes from, and the knowledge in knowing that your loved one is okay. And I know that with the years of experience in working with mediumship and having connected with lots of loved ones, all sorts of people, I know that the general consensus is that they are completely fine. You know, that they are actually more concerned about you still being here, and them totally being aware of your grief and the pain that you encounter because of their loss. You know, whereas for them, yes, they can feel that, but they have the awareness to come close to you and be with you, and it satisfies them on a soul level, and they have the awareness and the understanding of the purpose and how it all needs to be. Whereas we don't have that. We don't walk with the understanding the why. You know, so whereas when in spirit and there is only love, they have a greater understanding of that and what they need, and often what we need too. You know, so what I would say to you is, they come close to be with you because they're totally aware of how you feel. You know, they come close and share signs and impressions with you because their love for you still exists. And yes, they want to show you that they're still with you. They want to show you that they still exist. They want to show you that they're aware and that they're still loving you. And all of that is because they want to ease your pain. You know, so what I would suggest to you is to try and also raise your awareness of signs, impressions where you might feel them about, you know, whether it's your dreams, whether it's apparitions. You know, dreams are a really common way that spirit would communicate with you, and especially in the very early days after they having passed. And while they may not come directly to you, because energetically it may be a little hard to make that connection, they may come to someone else, like a child or a relative that's actually a little bit more removed, to just generally get the message across, to let people know that they're okay. You know, and I can remember doing a reading for a young girl in one of the home group events, and this was coming through from her dad, and he was showing me that he had stood in the doorway, that it was a full body apparition, and it scared the shit out of her basically. And that's what I said, and she goes, yes. And I said, look, he was really trying to let you know that he was okay. And that for her, it was also he wanted her to really pass on the message to everyone else, to her mum, to her siblings, to let them all know that she had seen him and that it was okay. So if that's you, if you're watching this video and you've had a similar experience, be it a dream, be it a full body apparition, please know that often it's about sharing that message so that everyone knows that their loved one is okay. It's their way. And the purpose of that communication is to let you know that they're doing okay, because they know that you're concerned. You know, so other signs might be, you know, the symbol butterfly, this meaningful song on the radio, all of those things that we know that are common experiences. You know, for some reason I need to say a shell is coming to mind. So if that's for you, it's coming through, let me know, comment on the video, on the blog, let me know if that message was for you. I just need to say that. There are lots of ways that our loved one send messages and communicate. And I know there was one time when my brother was made his presence known, and this is years ago when my son was still young. But what had happened is I was cooking and I was making gravy and I was using a jug, and all of a sudden I could smell alcohol. I could smell beer. My brother was a drinker, and I was like, couldn't make any sense of why that was there, because this jug that I use had never ever had beer in it, but I could smell it. Yes, I was a medium at the time, but smells are not something I work with regularly. And then anyway, about a minute later, my son's in another room, and he just says to me, "Mum, I can smell Uncle Alan's beer." And I could smell Dad's beer. Actually, I think that's what he said. I think what he said was, yeah, I could smell Dad's beer, because he's in his mind, he would associate beer with his dad. And he said, I can smell beer. And of course, I'd already had this experience. But a minute later, my son's in another room having the same experience that he could smell. So I just said to him, that's okay. You know, that's Uncle Alan making himself known, and just, you know, popping about the family. You know, so just sometimes relax and just keep yourself open. And if you think you've had signs, then absolutely you have, you know, because signs are one of the most common ways that your loved one will come back to you to let you know that they're okay, because they know you're worrying, you know. So open your mind to the signs, look for the signs, and if you need the confirmation, ask for it twice. Just, you know, sort of say to them, hey, you know, I really recognize that sign that you're trying to give me, but just so I can be sure, could you give it to me again, please? Or, you know, can you play that special song on the radio for me? Just confirmation, and I'll 100% accept that one. You know, so just look out for those things. So a couple of really simple tips there. It's just meant to be a quick video. And thank you to Cindy for prompting the question. Is to, yes, your loved ones are okay, but for you to really believe that, I highly recommend that you explore where your grief's taking you. You know, follow those urges that you need to explore your faith and define what the universe, what the spirit world means to you. You know, that's the gift in the experience and the journey. I know that because I know that that's what it gave me. So God bless and thank you, and may your loved one give you a sign soon. Thank you.